So I inherited some trailer parts from my older son here in Baton Rouge, and I want to make a trailer for the riding mower. I had one, I gave it to my younger son, and he's using the crap out of it, so I don't think I'm going to get it back. So first of all, it's too wide. I want it, I can make it 50. I need to go check the measurement again, I forgot. I think it's 50 inches wide. I can still get it in the back of my pickup truck. So I'm gonna measure it. I got a framing square here and on the other end, and that's the widest point, and I'm gonna measure that, and then I'll know how much I got to cut out the middle to make it just wide enough to fit in the back of my truck bed. So it turns out I need to remove 27 inches. So I got the center line, 13.5 inches both ways, got me a square mark. I'm gonna cut that out here at home because I gotta load this thing in my truck and it's awkward as all get out. I was shocked at how thick this steel is and how good a shape it's in. So I got this pile of junk over here at the foundry. I think I'm gonna go ahead and weld the axle back together first. I think that'll be a logical first step. Got the ends cleaned up and beveled a little bit. I got it clamped and straightened out, and we're gonna weld it together. So I'm gonna cut the rails 44 inches before they 45 up to the front. I don't know, it's kind of a crapshoot. I don't want the thing to be too small, but I don't want it to be so heavy that I can't manhandle it because it's just for a lawnmower trailer. So I've been staring at this tape for a while. I got to make a decision. So I'm gonna cut it 44. I'm gonna cut a square on the back. I'm gonna cut it 22.5 so I can slope it up to the hitch, kind of almost where the level happens to be laying. We'll go cut two of them the same and bring them over here. We'll cut them out of this nasty old pipe because I don't know what else to do with it, but it's heavy wall. I guess it's water pipe actually, I don't really know. Cut it 22.5 on the end and cut two of them and clean them up a little bit. See what we got. My two frame rails are parallel with the edges of the table, and they're both flush with the end of the table down here. I'm using the table as a giant square, and I got the angle turned so it's 90 degrees to the face of the table. The axle is irrelevant right now. It's just being used as a weight. That's not where it goes. So I put the center line of the table here with the Sharpie. So I need to cut two pieces of pipe to come to the center line. And I don't know exactly what the hitch is gonna look like, but for now, I think I will make an attempt to just to weld it solid and I can cut the hitch in later. Yeah, so we're gonna go cut a couple pieces at 22.5 degree and then mark the end with the line right here. So this pipe had a weird curve on each end because it used to be a slide, a homemade slide. And this is a chance for me to use these pieces with this curve. If it has a little curve up front, it doesn't make any difference as long as they kind of halfway match. Putting the two 22.5 degrees together, that's way too steep of an angle. I want it way over here. So I think I'm just gonna cut the end square and see what that looks like. This is my Harbor Freight cut-off saw, and it cuts fine. The table's kind of chicken. It's so lightweight and not very accurate, but you know, you get what you pay for. As far as just chopping long things to length, it does pretty good. Okay, first piece is laid out, and you know, I'll just arbitrarily, I think this is the right look. So I'm gonna whack it off right here, and the cut's not gonna be quite right because one is 22 and one is square, and they should have both been 11, but it's a lawn trailer, I don't care. I'm gonna weld it like that. So I'm gonna cut this one and then fit the other one, and I'll weld it all together right where it's sitting. Flip it over and weld the other side. I can take the axle off. That axle with those tires is pretty heavy, so it's kind of holding everything in place. Cut number one, not too bad. I'm gonna scoot it out the way and mark the second one and cut it. I'm cutting them with the big grinder because my Harbor Freight chop saw won't turn that sharp of an angle. This is more than 45. If you look closely, you can see my engineered drawings for that based the trailer on. We have fittage. I'm fixing to have weldage if I can figure out a way to ground it. It's got thick paint on it, and my little table here has paint on it. So I gotta rig up something, and then we'll weld it up. So I made an executive decision. The axle is going here, 15 inches from the end. Actually, it's gonna go underneath. It's just sitting there right now. So I'm gonna have some cross braces here. Assuming this is the top, they're gonna sit on top to give me something to attach my boards to, but they're gonna be way up here because I want the boards to go over the top of the tire. I don't want them sticking out past the tire. If I get in a close spot or hit a tree trunk or something, I don't want the angles to catch. I want the tire to be my bumper. So the tires out to out is 50. So I think I'm gonna make them 44. And I have the remnants of the original trailer. I hope this video is coming out better than it looks. And it's very rotten, but I think if I slice it right along here and get some angles, I need 3 of them. This one's gonna be kind of iffy. But I'm gonna rip this stuff up because it's junk anyway. If I can get angles out of them, fine. If not, too bad. It'll go in the dumpster, or it'll go out front. The scrap iron guys will pick it up in like 1 hour if I put it out front. So I know a lot of you guys don't have a plasma torch, but you need to get one. So it took a lot of cutting, but I ended up with 2 decent channels that I can rip in half and get 4 angles out of. So I got the length I need marked on them. I'm gonna take them outside. I think the chop saw is gonna be the best method for cutting a square line. And then I will rip them with the plasma torch. I think if I put a straight edge, I can cut pretty straight with the plasma torch. All right, not too bad for the first half a day. I got the axle cut and welded back together. I got the frame made, welded up, at least the top. I got to flip it over and weld the bottom. And I managed to salvage 4 decent angles from what was left of that rusty boat trailer. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. Marked out my first angle, the 2 copes where it's going to sit on top of these round tubes. And I put a little curve on the ends to make sure nobody gouge your leg too bad. I'm gonna cut this one out, and if it fits, I'll use it as a template to mark the other 3. I'll cut it with the plasma torch, and my hands are kind of shaky, so it probably won't come out too pretty, but I can weld it. Okay, first piece fit. I'm gonna use it for a pattern for the other 3, and I'm careful to reference the top edge and not the bottom edge, because the bottom edge is kind of wavy. But if this and the top edge match on all of them, then the platform will be flat on top. So where the crossbars go, I've got the old junk grinded off so it'd be clean metal. I got the first one fitted, and we learned something from the last little trailer, is it's better to have the deck higher than the tire. That way you can put like plywood sheets and stuff on here and they lay flat. So these will come out past the tire will be under the decking. And I should be able to just line these up one after the other, get them fitted correctly, and weld them. So with this plate notched, I was able to weld it to the front, and now I have the hitch part drawn out with the soapstone. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it, burn a hole in the middle, And then we're ready to, I'll be ready to flip it over and weld the bottom side. I never have welded the bottom side of these pipes. I do need to plug this hole though, because the paper wasps will be in there for sure. They love a hole in a pipe. This pipe came with this nice aluminum plug in it, and I got a plug from another piece I cut. So I'm gonna get it out and put it in here. I think that could be a shin saver. So I flipped the trailer upside down, and I have a board clamped here. This is representative of the decking that will be on the top of the trailer. And I got one on the other side. Now I'm gonna get the axle and set it up here. And I need clearance between the tire and the decking, but not much because there's no spring. So it's not gonna ever like get any closer than it is when I weld it. So I'll have to put some sort of extension to get the axle up high enough where the tire won't rub on the bottom of the decking. All right, now let's just see if I can pick the dang thing up. It's kind of heavy. Okay, not too bad. I got to center it up and build something. This is pretty tall, so maybe I better put like something at an angle coming from both ways. Okay, having second thoughts on this situation. We thought it would be nice to have the deck over the tires so we'd have a big flat deck, but what that's going to do is raise the hitch to make the trailer level 20 inches off the ground. And the hitch on a riding mower, I'm not looking at mine, but I bet it's more like 8 inches off the ground. And that's gonna make the trailer slope lean forward from the back to the hitch on a riding mower or a four-wheeler a lot. So I think I'm gonna punt on that, and I think I'm gonna try to lower these tires through the frames as much as I can. And we'll just put like a wheel well over the tires on the deck, just like in a truck. I think I can go down, well, I can't go down too much, dang it. I'm gonna go down as much as I can. We're gonna kind of change this up a little bit. So drop the tires down until they touch the steel, and it's still too high, I believe. So I'm just gonna cut a notch in all four of these angles. I wish I wouldn't have welded this so good. I would have just cut it and moved it back. You know what, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna remove, well, that's gonna put the axles further back than I wanted. I'm gonna notch these, and I may cut this and move it back a little bit. I need to get the axle lower or closer to the frame. Okay, that's as low as I'm gonna go. My hitch is still right at 20 inches. But I called my son to ask him how high his hitch is off the ground, and he reminded me that we put a raised hitch on a zero turn. So it's 20, and the one on his big four-wheeler is 12. So right now I'm just under 20. So I think I'm gonna leave it like it is. I'm gonna pick the jacks up just so the tire's not touching, and weld the axle right there. And I think this is not totally welded, so I think I'll cut this and bring it up to the bottom of this plate, or maybe even put it on top of this plate. And that'll be, that'll give me like 18 inches, well, yeah, 18 and a half inches, which will be a compromise between the riding mowers and the four-wheeler. And I can always put an offset on my riding mower also to raise it up a little bit to kind of match Colin's. So, all right, so this is where it's gonna be. We're gonna put some braces on it. Took these nice little square tubes, which are pretty heavy. I put them up next to, I coped them to fit the round bar, and I put them next to the axle and scribed. And then they weren't the same, which means the tires are not the same, which is no big deal. So I went with the bigger one, and I added 3/4. So they're both the same. If somebody puts bigger tires on here later on, they'll work. And all I need to do is turn the axle 180 degrees, because this is where I remove the paint, and lift it the 3/4 of an inch with these jacks, and hopefully it won't move front to back or side to side, because it's where I want it right now. Lift it up and put these little pieces in there and weld them. So the axles are welded to the square tube, and square tube's welded to the pipe. but I just didn't like the way it was cantilevered down. So I have welded 2 round bars to the axle, and now I'm using a little heat magic to bend them down until they touch the round tube, and then I'll weld them in the front and in the back. So I'll have be pretty hard to make this axle move now. Even if you were going really fast and hit a stump, I don't think this axle is going to move. I think we're going to be all right. All right, we are welded. We are grinded. I have even put the wire wheel on most of this stuff, and I have put the needle scaler on the worst part of the rust. So I'm done. Now, this is the extra cap I had. I had to mangle it up so much to get it off of the other tube that it was distorted, so I just hammered it in there, and it's never ever gonna fall out. This one had some sort of special pin in it, but I don't have that anymore. So I'm gonna hang it up from the crane and put a coat of paint on it, and before I start messing with the boards for the top. Perfect. So I had some really old black enamel, and it was really thick, which was kind of good because it kind of filled in all my roughness. Just kind of troweled it on there with the roller, turned it upside down, and then turned it right side up, which is an advantage when you have electric hoist. So now we just need to leave it alone, let it dry, and I'll put the boards on top. And that might be it for this little deal. I'm gonna deck my little baby trailer with these heavy boards, which will allow me to cut an arc out of the board to fit over the tire, which will allow me to pull the board out to the edge, which allows me for a flat deck all the way across. And yeah, it's cool. This is a Cuts-It carbide wheel spelled with a Z, and it's for carving. That's what I'm getting ready to do. Okay, the boards are laid out. The arch works perfectly. The tire does not touch, and the tire's not going to go anywhere because there's no springs involved here. I cut the corners to make it a little bit more shin friendly, and I'm going to have to trim the steel. It sticks out a little bit, and I'll be ready to screw the boards down. I'm going to use these screws. I call them Wing Techs, but I think that's a brand name. They drill a hole through the wood, and these little side wing things, I don't know if you can see them or not. Yeah, and these little wings that stick off the side, they drill a big hole in the wood so the threads don't engage.
And then this drills a hole in the steel, and when the steel gets to these little wings, they just break off, and it's self-threading, and it works really, really good. In my case, they're a little bit short, so I'm gonna have to countersink them down just a little bit, but I have them. So I'm gonna trim the steel, put some paint on it, and screw all these boards down. I know it's kind of chunky looking, it's kind of wide looking, but I think that's because the boards are going out past the tire. But anyway, it doesn't matter what it looks like. Just need one to be usable, and it rolls really easy with these big wheels. So I wasn't going to have enough screws, so I went to the bolt store and bought enough longer ones to do it all, so I didn't have to counter bore anything. They're the right length now. I am probably overthinking this, but I got this jack. It came with all these trailer parts that I made this thing out of, and it works. And if the trailer's empty, you don't need the jack because it don't weigh squat. But let's say you have the trailer loaded up with a load of bricks or the bucket's full of sand or something, and for some reason you want to unhook it from the four-wheeler or the lawnmower, it'd be pretty heavy. So for some reason I'm thinking this screw jack might be nice. Now, the screw jack's meant to fold up against the boat frame, and it just doesn't work like that. But this is fully extended, so if I put it here and I fasten this top part to the frame just like that, let's see how much wheel clearance we would have if I fully retract it. And I'm going to turn off the camera because it's going to take a minute. So fully retracted is more or less right there from where I had it before. Oh, I think that's gonna work. I'm gonna try it. No harm, no foul. If it doesn't work, I'm gonna take this stuff off because I don't need it, and fabricate a brace for it. Put it on there. If it don't work, I can always take it off. I've got all the old hardware removed from the jack. I got the jack jammed in the corner here with this board, which is weighted by the trailer. I've got two of these little plates cut, one for the top and one for the bottom. I'm going to weld the top, and then we're going to turn the trailer over and weld the bottom. And spray a little spray paint on there, and we're going to be done. Well, I think we'll be done. All right, the chunky little garden trailer is done. Got my wells cleaned up and painted up here in the front with the jack. And I was kind of planning on putting some legs on the main frame where it comes down so I could stand it up. But it stands up all by itself, which is kind of nice when you want to get it out of the way. So there's a reason I'm doing this project. And the reason I'm going to do my next project, y'all will find out soon enough. I brought my mower over to the foundry for its annual oil change, and while I was here I hooked it up just to see if I have a jackknifing problem. I'm turning too sharp, but I don't. It works great. It's leaning forward a little bit, but not a whole lot, and the hitch on the back of the riding mower is bolted on, and it's an angle iron basically, so I can take it off and flip it over and get another inch of height with a minimal effort. And other than that, I think we're doing just fine. So this is it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.